Hey, did you know the average inheritance lasts less than 5 years? Don't be average. Look, I have dealt with hundreds of people that have inherited money over the years, and I've seen a whole range of emotions that they go through, anywhere from, absolute excitement of receiving money to grief to fear, what to do with this money. Now, this could be a bittersweet moment in your life when you're inheriting money, because on the one hand, hey, look, you've got newfound wealth, but that means someone you love, they've passed away. So it could be a very emotional time for you to sort through. So in this video, I will be talking about people that inherited money from a non-spouse, because some of the tax implications are going to be different. So maybe that means you inherited money from a parent or a grandparent or some other loved one. So now, before you go out and buy that car or that boat or something else, you may want to consider a few things. After all, you want to be wise with the money and honor the one that left it to you, right? Think about it. It took a lifetime of saving from the one who left this inheritance to you, and it would be a shame to plow through that money so quickly. So the first thing we need to consider is, what type of an account are you inheriting? Because that makes a big difference, especially when it comes to taxes. So is it from life insurance proceeds, a brokerage account, a savings account, or a retirement account? So depending on the type of account you are inheriting would determine what type of tax, if any, you may have to pay. Let me give you an example. For example, if you inherited an IRA or a Roth IRA, then due to recent tax law changes, that account has to be liquidated within 10 years. So if it is an IRA, that means that money coming out of that account, that's all taxable to you. So this is going to take a little planning, and I would suggest you get with your financial advisor or your tax advisor to come up with a strategy that makes sense to you. Now, after that is determined and the money is transferred in your name, then it's your money. And hey, you can do whatever you like with it. Now, speaking of like, now would be a good time to give this video a like and be sure to subscribe to the channel. I know that's cheesy, but I'm trying to get the algorithm out there, spreading a wealth of information. And by the way, if we haven't met before, my name is Keith Wilson. I own a financial planning firm, Wilson Financial Advisors, helping folks just like you with their personal finance journey. So, what are you going to do with this inheritance? And like I said before, this could be an emotional time for you, and you want to make the right decision, because depending on the amount of money that you're inheriting, it really could be a life-changing event. And I'll give you an example. Recently, I helped a young lady who inherited close to $100,000 from her grandfather. And when we got that account transferred to her, and she actually saw that money in her name, boy, her eyes got really wide, and she said, "That's really mine? What am I going to do?" So first, I would say, take a breath. Wait a month or so to decide what to do. Give yourself some time to think about your particular situation. And speaking of which, I don't know you, and I can't give specific advice because I don't know your financial situation, but here are some things to consider. Well, one thing is, you could use part of that money to shore up your emergency fund. Now, an emergency fund, what is that? An emergency fund is really one of the first steps in building a financial plan. And you should strive to have 3 to 6 months of your living expenses in an emergency fund. And this could be used to pay for those unexpected expenses that comes up, like medical bills, car repair, home repair, or help in the event of a job loss. So if you don't have an emergency fund, or it's short of that 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, then hey, consider taking some of that inheritance money to get that thing in place. Next thing I would do is look at your debt. Look at your debt situation, and maybe you have racked up some credit card debt, or you got some personal loans out there that's eating you alive. So consider using part of the inheritance to get you out of debt. Now think about it. If you've been paying, I don't know, $500, $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000 each month towards debt, then by paying that debt off, you would free up that much more money that you would have been paying, and then that money you were paying could be used towards savings instead of debt payments. Now, I'm going to give a word of warning here, because I've seen people that will use some of their inheritance to pay off credit cards. Sounds good, but they turn right around and they get back into debt again. So be disciplined and don't repeat bad behavior, or else, hey, it'll do you no good. So once we have the emergency fund taken care of and the debt paid off, then think about earmarking a portion for your own retirement. Now, when it comes to retirement savings, I've said this before in a lot of my videos, I'm a big believer in the 3-bucket theory. Having money in tax-deferred accounts like an IRA or 401k, a tax-free account like a Roth IRA, and a taxable account like a brokerage account. So let's say this, maybe you already have the IRA, 401k, and Roth, but you don't have that third bucket, the taxable account or brokerage account. So this could be a good time to get that third bucket going in a brokerage account and invest in any way you like. But again, what you're doing, you're using that money allotted for retirement. What a way to honor your loved one, to have that money potentially growing and helping you out, years to come in your own retirement. Now, depending on the size of your inheritance, it may be a good idea to use some of it for a down payment on a house, right? Maybe you have already been saving for the goal, but you don't have quite enough money to put down to avoid what is called PMI, or private mortgage insurance. And to avoid this extra cost, you got to put down 20% of the purchase price. So perhaps use some of the inheritance to get you to that point, and this will also lower your monthly mortgage payment on the loan. After all, the more you put down on a house, the lower the payment will be. Now, I'm going to say this. These are some good ideas that I like to share with my clients to build their financial future and their financial plan. But if you've made it this far in this video, you may be thinking, hey, I don't want to listen to this old financial dude telling me to put my inheritance in an emergency fund, pay off debt, or invest for retirement. I want to spend it. I want to enjoy this money. Well, I want you to as well. That's not the point. So if after you get your financial house in order, there is nothing wrong with making purchases for yourself. And hey, maybe use some of that for vacation you always wanted with a family. Or maybe you need a more reliable and safe vehicle. Nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is think about the one who left this inheritance to you. Because in my experience, people treat inheritance money differently. And it's because they didn't have to work for it. It was a gift. And I have seen people blow through an inheritance within a year. And others have made it last a lifetime. Listen, you would want your mom or your dad, grandparent, or whoever left this money to you to be proud of what you're doing with it.
If